can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Regardless of where you're at, we're at prime time somewhere right now. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, man, prophet of the airways, along with my co-host, Joe, you can't handle the truth, Hakos. And we're coming to you live, coast to coast, nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated. And we're here to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, on the politics of religion and the religion of politics. And you know, if you were listening, just happen to catch the very beginning of our opening clip as we open up with every show, you'll remember, or if you haven't been listening, we'll tell you what it is. It's Barack Obama, back when he was being questioned on Larry King about whether he was a Muslim or a Christian. And he said, you know, you just have to trust the American people that sooner or later they'll find out the truth. And boy, that is the theme of our show today. Because sooner or later, one thing I know about liberals, and if you've been around them for any length of time, you know it too. One thing I know about liberals is they love to brag about how smart they are, how compassionate they are, and just how much more intellectually they are above everybody else. And when it equates to spirituality, that's inconsequential. Because spirituality is just something out there. It's just something out there. It's like Darth Vader in the Force. But it's all about pseudo-intellectualism and ideology that will make the world such a better place. Utopia on the horizon if you just follow us, follow our tune, and follow us down the Pied Piper path of populism, and we'll take you to paradise, that kind of thing. And that's kind of going to be the theme of our show today, and probably most of the week. You know, we were gonna dance it out yesterday, but we got, I think, constructively distracted and sidetracked onto some other issues. But those things all feed into the basic narrative that we try to put forth on this show, and that is that liberalism is not only wrong; it's as wrong as it can be. So we're glad to have you with us this afternoon. And Joe, my host, Joe Hakos, how are you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm great, John. This is the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in Promontory Point, Utah. And, it's really one of the great achievements in American history. And according to Barack Obama, those folks just got lucky to succeed. Yeah,
that's right. Well, and we're celebrating it out here in California by building the train that goes nowhere, where they're out here trying to build this supersonic train that will take everybody to Las Vegas in less than an hour.
Supersonic, huh?
I just call it that because that's how they try to paint it. Oh, yeah, you know, all you folks out there on welfare and getting food stamps and everything, we'll be able to get you to Vegas in much less time now. Okay?
Well, you can get your EBT card out and gamble it away.
Yeah, you know, I haven't been to Vegas in a long time because we have out here, we have our own casinos. I'm an hour away from Pachinko, which is a great casino, and there's a bunch more down there. Paula, I've been to all of them. San Manuel, what's the other ones? Well, I can't think of all the names of them, but I've probably been about 8 or 9 of them between here and San Diego, which is about an hour and a half away at the most. And I have a blast at these places. But one of the things that just always gets me when I go into these casinos is I see, you know, old ladies and old men in their wheelchair, strapped to their oxygen tanks, sitting there with their credit card sitting into the slot machine. Like, yeah. Oh my God. Or maybe it's their debit card, their EBT card they get from unemployment. I don't know. But that is, I think, one of the most depressing sights in the world. to see people sitting in wheelchairs strapped to oxygen tanks, gambling away whatever life they have left, hoping to hit the progressive. It's wow. It is a testimony of the entitlement mentality that so many Americans today possess, and it's a sad state of affairs to watch. So, anyhow. Yeah, I just took that and turned that into a real negative thing real fast, didn't I?
I was, congratulating America on, in 1869 doing the railroad thing, joining both sides of the continent together, and John tears us down.
well, that's because that was the beginning of pollution. That was the beginning of all the coal burning and everything else that has caused us to be in such a bad state of affairs today, with the ozone deteriorating and the polar bears dying, all that good stuff.
Yeah, they were just burning sod from the sod houses, to keep warm in the winter. But that didn't make any smoke. But Hillary's finding out today just how bad it can be when you say you want to take away people's livelihoods and say, "But please vote for me."
Yeah. So anyway, as promised yesterday, but like I said, we got off on some, I think, very decent discussions yesterday that needed to be said, and it all feeds into, like I said, the large narrative of what's going on here. And we're actually going to be spending probably most of the week talking about Barack Obama. And I want to preface this because, for all intents and purposes, Barack Obama is almost history. Okay, now the damage that he has brought upon this republic of ours, I don't know how long or if it will ever be corrected or turned around. But the reason why I'm focusing on it at this point is because Hillary Clinton is vowing to bring another term of Barack Obama.
Absolutely.
And we need to understand a lot of what we're going to be talking about this week has to do with the tenure of her in the State Department. And here this woman is now, by the way, under investigation for security breaches, under investigation for political corruption, and this woman may end up being our commander-in-chief. And the only excuse she can give for anything that's happened as far as security breaches is she didn't mean to do it.
Yeah, I didn't intend to have it happen that way.
Right. It wasn't supposed to happen that way. And that is what the media has bought into, which is going, again, a lot of what we're going to be talking about this week is how the media just dives into these narratives, ignorant of everything. The articles that I'm seeing all over the place out there is that they don't think that anything's going to happen to Hillary Clinton because the FBI has not proved intent. They have not proved that she intended to jeopardize security in the office of Secretary of State, as if that's even a question. When it comes to security breaches and compromising security classified information, intent means absolutely nothing by the law. If you read the law, it's not, oh, gee, I didn't mean to do that, and therefore it's okay. That's not the way it works. If you compromise classified information, it doesn't matter what your motives were, whether you did it on purpose or not, whether it was stupidity, ignorance doesn't matter. Ignorance is no excuse, as the saying goes. And yet the media has fallen right into this narrative. Why is that? Because the media doesn't know that breaching classified information is an offense, whether you meant to do it or not. Because that doesn't fit the liberal narrative, which is, well, I didn't mean for it to happen. I apologize. I got caught, and therefore everybody should just forgive me, and this should become old news. This should become yesterday's news. And so these things, I'm saying all these things, but as we get going during the week here, you're going to see that they all fit. They're all pieces that fit into the overall puzzle of what has happened to our country in terms of not only the people running the show, but the people electing them to run the show. Collectively, we have become blithering idiots, and we have just allowed things to go on unobservant, not watching what's going on, expecting and trusting, blind trust, and not really paying attention. And now that all hell is breaking loose, people are now just beginning even to try to figure out what happened. What happened? Where did we go wrong? Yeah, we'll go look in the mirror. That's where we went wrong. So you had something to say, Joe?
No, I was just doing my blithering idiot imitation.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll go with that. Okay, all right. So anyway, so we're going to be dancing around with that. Don Dix from Act for America will be joining us in the second hour. We're going to talk about, I want to start the show out today. We'll be talking about the situation here with the GOP, some of what's going on in GOP as compared to what's going on in the DNC, kind of campaign stuff. But when we kick in high gear, probably towards the end of the first hour and going into the second hour, we're going to be talking about the situation with Ben Rhodes, the chief communications guy for the Obama administration, who has pulled a Jonathan Gruber and has, whether intentionally or not, revealed something to everybody, that Obama loves lying, and he doesn't care about whether he's telling the truth or not. He doesn't care if he spins, lies, or whatever, as long as his agenda gets accomplished. Because, after all, it's the right thing to do, and we need to do it now. Okay, so we got to go to a break here. When we come back, we'll start into today's festivities. Buckle up. It's going to be a nice day. We'll talk to you back. We'll be back in just a minute here. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first, and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Hey, let's just for a moment here, I want to just touch real quick here on a topic that we talked about yesterday about the transgender stuff going on down in North Carolina. As it stands right now, the federal government had given North Carolina a deadline of yesterday, I believe it was, to do away with that transgender bathroom bill down there, or risk losing federal funds to their university or something like that.
Universities, all student loans.
Okay. So they were going to basically lay financial siege on the state and try to force the state into some type of economic crisis that would allow
just straight up extortion.
Yeah. You said it right. I'm trying to be a little more intellectual about it, but yeah, blackmail. That's really what we're talking about here. But our good Attorney General Loretta Lynch comes out today and says, what we must not do, what we must never do, is turn on our neighbors, our family members, our fellow Americans for something that they cannot control and deny what makes them human. Okay? So this what they're doing here, what the attempt is here, is to expand once again the meaning of what civil rights are. That's what it's always about. It's about taking immorality and through legislation or reinterpretation of the Constitution, turning something that is by natural law very well defined and understood and absolute, and then turning around and saying, no, that's not really it. See, through climate change or the weather situation here, we want to regulate the sun. God created the sun, but we can regulate it. And we can regulate it by applying political and financial pressure on people that deny it. Now we're gonna God's wrong. When God created man and woman, he didn't really know what he was doing. He just threw parts on one and left the parts off on the other one. And a big mistake, just a big genetic mistake. And our Attorney General now just seems to think that, hey, you are whatever you say you are. Okay, all right, fine. Maybe in your mind you are, but if the plumbing speaks otherwise, that's just the way it is.
How about a chromosome? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to talk up science all this about the weather. So, I think there's chromosomal proof that you are who you are.
Right. Yeah. So North Carolina sued the Justice Department for the radical reinterpretation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and Lynch is accusing them of course, trying to redefine what a man and a woman is. Think about that just for a moment here, because that's really what the Attorney General is saying. You're trying to define what a man and a woman is, and you're going against what natural law says, what biology and DNA and everything indicates. That's absolute. You're either a male or you're a female. Now, I have been presented with the arguments in the past about certain people that have been mutated. When they're born, they're mutated. Perhaps there are people who have been born with a combination of genetic well, let's say penises and breasts, or vice versa, that kind of thing. And I say, well, what about that? Well, all that proves is that there is some type of genetic mix-up there. But that still doesn't mean that person can say they're either or. Your plumbing tells you who you are. If you're born with genitals, you are a male. And if you're not born with genitals and you're born with something else, then you're a woman. There's only one of two choices here. Now, genetics, certainly there can be such a thing as mutation, but that doesn't change the whole definition and argument as to what makes a man and what makes a woman. And I know people don't want to buy into that, but who cares? You're not the one that made the law. The creator's the one that has designed this thing the way he saw fit to do it. And this idea that the government has now been able to come in and just basically redefine everything that God established at his creation. If you want to be a man and you don't have the parts, that's okay. In your mind, you're a man. Okay, fine. Grow a mustache. All right? That doesn't make you a man any more than a man who gets, what's the word, silicone or something like that. It doesn't, I don't care. There's no argument for it. None whatsoever. Nothing of rationale. Of course, if you feel like it, and everybody wants to feel like it with you, well, that's between you guys. Okay? But don't tell me that I can't look at a man and a woman and say, that's not really a man or a woman. It doesn't, I'm sorry, it doesn't compute. And it never will. Never will. I haven't stepped off the deep end yet, to just believe whatever I feel like believing because it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy, that kind of thing. So anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. So
I think I'm just going to take the next one and put them in a little safety box at the fire department, and it'll be okay because I'll feel better about it then.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Now, along with that, I want to talk a little bit here. We'll start the real serious part of the conversation of today with what's going on in the. Let's start with the GOP, the campaign right now.
Is there anything going on in the GOP? I thought it was over and settled.
Oh yeah, I guess according to Donald Trump, nobody needs to vote anymore because it's all done.
Except he doesn't have all the delegates he needs. Yeah. Brilliant.
Well, that doesn't matter because he's got more voters than everybody else. That's the argument there. I'm even hearing most of the pundits out there talking about it. One of the things I was hearing, I watched the Kelly File last night, and I've been watching her show a lot lately just because of the timing of things. It's in between the shows that I really like to watch, which don't start till 7 o'clock. And I get tired of sometimes watching Filipino news, which comes on at 6 o'clock. She comes on at 6 o'clock out here. So if I get bored with what's going on there, then I'll flip over and watch her. And I watched part of a show last night. And that seems to be the echo chamber now out there, is that, Trump's got the nomination locked up here. And everything else is just pretty much noise right now. But then I hear this thing, this rivalry, this new rivalry between Paul Ryan and Donald Trump. Pat Buchanan wrote a really nice article. Who promoted Private Ryan? And the general consensus of his article is, Ryan, you lost. Trump has won. It's not up for Trump to come over and talk to you about conditions of surrender. It's up to you to go talk to conditions of surrender to him. And I thought, that's a very appropriate way of looking at things.
That's an analogy that kind of fits, I guess. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, when Ryan has his own surrogates going against him on this, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
One of the things Ryan is trying to do, he's trying to, because of the downside elections, in the House and in the Senate, Ryan's trying to, placate those that might be nervous about their positions being lost. The Republicans might not win re-election, which is kind of I don't know how worried that you should be about that because incumbents win at a 90% clip anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I said, I just thought it was a very appropriate analogy. You have lost, but
yep.
Ryan is he's not ready to give it up because apparently the establishment's not ready to give it up. Now,
hell no, they're not ready to give it up.
No. And then I read this morning, just off the cuff here, I just read the headline. I don't even know what the details of it are, but it just came up in my head here as we're talking. apparently in Nebraska, Ted Cruz is leading in the polls.
Okay.
And the story was something along the lines of, if Cruz wins Nebraska, he may re-enter the race.
He's not going to do that. I just saw him on television not too long ago as he was, hey, Ted Cruz is back in the Senate. And so everybody had to surround him and go, hey, welcome back, Ted. We haven't had anybody to beat up on him over here for a while, so I'm glad you're back. But he already said he's not going to do that.
Okay, that's okay. But isn't it just funny how the media just takes this stuff and runs? It's just amazing to me. Like I said, I just saw the headline. I didn't even think it worth reading the article. I just laughed when I saw it. I said, oh, yeah, wouldn't that be just fitting right now to do that, to jump back in the race?
Like, really? They love to hate him so much they want him back in the race.
Yeah, well, just think of this. I mean, Cruz would have the perfect campaign slogan now. He could come back in and say, Trump says don't vote. I'm back. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's the issue with Trump. It's like, you should engage your brain before you talk.
Yeah, but I think another constructive narrative I was listening to last night was this idea that the polls are out there. A lot of the polls are out there trying to say that Trump has a snowflake's chance in hell of beating Hillary in a general election. And these commentators were all floating, several of them last night during the course of the Megyn Kelly show, talking about the fact that, nobody's looking at this one. They seem to want to ignore this one aspect of everything. Donald Trump, at this point in the primary, has more voters voting for him than either John McCain or Mitt Romney did their entire primary.
Yep.
Okay, so they're saying, how do we take these numbers and somehow squeeze out this thought that Trump cannot beat Hillary Clinton? And, that makes sense to me. It's like, wow, somebody actually thought this through. And I'm thinking, because that's kind of been eating at the back of my mind. If he is pulling in record numbers of voters,
yep,
what's to say he can't win in a general election? I don't understand what that means. Does that mean that all the people that aren't voting for Hillary in the primaries that would normally vote for her are now going to come out? And we know that Hillary Clinton's entire campaign, from everything I'm seeing so far, is going to be all about being a woman.
Yes.
So she's going to be out there. She's going to be appealing to the abortion people. She's going to be out there appealing to the LGBT community, because there might be actually some women in there. And then, of course, soccer moms. That's where she's going at. I call them the soccer moms because most soccer moms are dumb and ignorant. They just go to soccer games. That's all they do. And now if you're a soccer mom, sorry if you feel insulted by that. You're obviously an exception because you're listening to this show.
Yeah, or by accident, but congratulations.
Yeah, and so, but what I'm talking about is the general demographic, the way that you're identified within political parameters. And, you're home watching The View and things like that, and that's the people that she's going to try to appeal to, and she's trying to get enough. Apparently, she thinks there's enough women out there now that just basically will overpower the number of men that are voting. But the rise in Trump voters is due primarily to men. Now, that's not to say there are not women voting for him. I'm just saying that they've already identified more men are going to the polls now. And I find that rather productive, because if men had been going to the polls before, we wouldn't have these half-crazed women out there trying to run the show. They're running the show because we've let them. And, that's just, I can get into a whole dissertation about that. I'm not going to do it. If you want to call me sexist or chauvinist, fine, I don't care. But it's not the woman's role to be running the country. It's a man's role to be running the country, just like it's a man's role to be running the home. It's just on a bigger scale. That's just the way it was set up. But since, we're trying to change God, and God it can't determine anymore whether men are men and women are women, they're trying to redefine that whole narrative. So it all runs in this endless vicious cycle, this just weird ass circle of illogical reasoning. So anyway, we're coming up on a break. Wow, coming up on a break here. When we come back, though, I want to talk about the 10 Republicans who hate Donald Trump, because there's some things in here, some real gems, some real nuggets I want to share with you. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Do you use the blue pill to charge your sex life? Have you been thinking about trying the blue pill? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than $3. We'll do the math for you. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 40 blue pills or 40 yellow pills for $99 and add 4 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call and get your 44 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for the other blue pills. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in a non-marked package. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. That's 800-814-5188.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally caught up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, and bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos. And quick shout out to all you guys out there in the Shake and Wake chat room out there. I love hanging around with you guys during the day. I think sometimes you're bonkers, but then again, aren't we all? Aren't we all at some point or another? Just having fun out there. Anyway, excuse me. Here's a question for you. Let's start this segment off with this question here.
Okay.
The big question or the big concern of the Republican GOP, not the establishment, but the GOP itself, the people that out there claim to be our leaders in Congress, is how does the Republican Party expand its appeal to other demographics throughout the country? And that is the thing that's always being played by these guys.
What other demographics, John? I mean, I see a lot of people that are Republicans, and, you know, there's black, white, brown, orange, yellow, male, female.
Well,
different religions and everything. So how do they appeal to different what? We got to get the Martians, what?
Well, within the definition of the narrative being carried forth by the media and those on the left, the fact that Republicans are just all white Christians, okay, and we're not even so much women, it's all white male Christians, okay, that is the narrative of the left. So when we talk, and apparently the GOP, the leaders of the GOP have bought into the narrative because their concern when they express winning elections and things like that is how do we expand beyond the demographic of white angry men who cling to their guns and religion. That's how the GOP is, not the establishment. The establishment has no narrative. The establishment is just do what we tell you to do to make sure we keep our power and money. We don't care.
Send us $20 and we'll be happy.
Yeah. Every 3 months I get, the surveys from the Republican Party. What's important to me? Send me some money so we can do this stuff. Okay.
It's like every 3 days.
Yeah. Okay. So we're not out. It's not. Well, they're in California, so we don't. They don't waste as much money out here because there are very few of us even around. So. But the point being is that this is the narrative put forth by the leftist media and the left, and this leftist media or narrative has been bought by the GOP people that are in elected position right now. Okay, the Republican Party is not going to win if we don't reach the blacks, if we don't reach the Hispanics, if we don't reach the gays, if we don't become more encompassing in our philosophy and our ideologies and how we view the world, then we're not going to win. We're not going to win. Okay.
Let me sum this up for you. We won't win anymore. We won't win any elections in the future if we don't become more like Democrats.
Right. Exactly. And that is the simple way of putting forth what the GOP elites try to sound intellectual. When we need to expand the ideology, we need to become compassionate conservatives and blah blah blah. All the different ways they've labeled this. But back to my original question: if the GOP elites, and again, I'm not talking about establishment, I'm talking about our elected officials there. If they are so concerned about reaching out to all these other demographics, and if Donald Trump is everything that they hate, and yet Donald Trump embraces more of these other demographics to a much larger degree than the GOP elites themselves, he doesn't care who uses his bathrooms in his hotels. He thinks that Planned Parenthood does great things. I mean, he sounds to me like he's reaching beyond the parameters that the left has painted or describes the GOP demographics, while the GOP itself is saying Trump can't reach these people because he's a hater. All right, but he really, when you think about it, he encompasses more of the liberal agenda than any other candidate we've had in my recent memory. Now understanding, of course, George W. Bush, I think was very liberal. I think his father was even more liberal. But at least not on the surface. You couldn't really tell because in those days, conservative was interchanged and people believed it. They bought into it. That's not happening anymore. That's why Trump is popular now, is because most conservatives, I challenge anybody out there. If somebody tells you they're a conservative, the first words out of your mouth should be define what that means. That's when people tell me they're conservative now, that's the first thing I say to them. Tell me what that means. What does that look like? What does a conservative believe in? And I've yet to find anybody can give me a real good definition. You know, they might give me parts of a definition, and they might hit it good in some areas and usually fall flat in others. But nobody can really sit there and say, this is what a conservative thinks and this is what they base their thinking of. Individual responsibility and accountability. Everybody's individually responsible for themselves, which collectively retains and maintains a civil society based on moral law. And then all of our decisions are made based on that, whether they be legislative or not. Decisions that we make are based on a person's right to personal property, but it's also based on their responsibility of obtaining that personal property, not somebody else giving it to them, that kind of thing. So anyway, in this article I was looking at, I asked that question to lead into this article that I have in front of me right now from the Washington Post by Chris Silizia and Aaron Blake. And this was written a couple days ago. 10 Republicans who hate Donald Trump the most. And the first one on the list, or the first one they start off with, is our good buddy Lindsey Graham. Okay? And I just want to read you a couple of tweets, and we'll have some fun with this. But I want you to know ahead of time, I'm going to be a spoiler alert here. Lindsey Graham is listed as the number one Republican that hates Donald Trump. And the reason he hates Donald Trump is because he thinks Donald Trump is going to rob the GOP of the Hispanic vote. Okay, because if we can't, his words are, if we can't win the Hispanic vote, we can't win the election. That's why I led off with that question. Okay, now, he tweets out there, Lindsey Graham has tweeted out there, I cannot in good conscience support Donald Trump because I do not believe he is a reliable Republican conservative. There we go, the interchanging of the words. How could Lindsey Graham support something that he himself is not?
Yeah, he doesn't have a clue what that is.
Yeah, again, just like I said, I wonder if somebody ever sat down with him and said, define to me, give me a textbook definition of what a conservative is.
Well, I think what happened, John, is one of his staffers probably wrote these little phrases down in a little cheat sheet that he has underneath his desk, underneath the little glass thing on his desk, so he can just point them out when he needs to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that way he doesn't have to memorize them or actually understand them or anything else. He can just write. He just has them there. In fact, he can reference them probably on his computer. He just copy and paste them.
Yeah, copy and paste. Okay? Now, here's another one. Lindsey Graham. I do not believe he is a reliable GOP conservative, nor has he displayed the judgment and temperament to serve as commander-in-chief. Well, Lindsey Graham's a neocon. He's like, he wants to go to war with everybody. Okay? And I myself don't think that's necessary. I think the 1040 window we should just nuke the hell out of that place and get this thing over with. But I'm looking at the interchangeability again of the words. He is a reliable GOP conservative. I don't know any GOP conservatives in Congress today. I mean, I have my doubts now about Ted Cruz.
I have my doubts about the what is that? The 40-member coalition,
the Freedom Caucus.
Yeah, the Freedom Caucus. I have my doubts about those folks.
Yeah. I read some of the things these people talk about and what they say, and I'm thinking, wow, it's like, do you guys get up in the morning and throw, do you have a dartboard? This is my position today, because they'll say something right, and the next day they'll just completely screw it up and say something else, and it's like I can't tell one way or the other.
Because they don't truly believe in it.
Well, I don't think. I think I'm kind of drifting into the narrative of the Obama administration, who relies heavily on the stupidity of everybody who's not Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, they don't know what it means. I mean, I sound like I'm singing sour grapes here, but one of the things two things really upset me during the 2012 election cycle. Mia Love and Joni Ernst.
Yes.
Both of these people ran heavy Tea Party. They're going to clean Congress out, blah, blah, blah. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. We're going to get rid of Boehner, blah, blah, blah. Joni Ernst is now being floated as a reliable GOP establishment candidate for vice president. Mia Love is still trying to figure out where the bathrooms are at.
Yeah, and that just proves my point when I say you could clean out all the people that got voted into office, but unless you get rid of the staffers, you're going to have the same problem, because who do you think told them how to be?
Right, yeah. Yeah, the staffers sit down with them their first day in office to say, okay, the ladies' room is that way, and the lunch room is that way, and here's the book of everything you're supposed to do from this point on.
Yeah, and you're supposed to put at least 30 hours a week into getting reelected.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm telling you the truth.
40% of your time will be spent fundraising. And then the other time you'll show up in the chamber every once in a while when you need to cast a vote. We'll give you the sheet, tells you what you're supposed to do. That kind of stuff.
Yes. Scalise or McCartney will tell you how to vote.
Right. So that's the situation here. And so when I talk about this, 10 Republicans who hate Donald Trump. Oh, yeah, we got to go to break here. But when we talk about the 10 Republicans who hate Donald Trump, I want you to keep all this in context of what we just talked about. And you'll understand the overall stupidity of this whole thing. Okay, and that's what I'm in that mood today. I want to reveal the stupidity of the GOP establishment and their cronies. Okay, when we come back, we'll continue. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. Listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host and partner in crime, Joe Hakos. And let's get back into this thing here. The 10 Republicans that hate Trump the most, and even the wording of this thing is going to make you laugh. I mean, just the 10 Republicans who hate Donald Trump the most. It's Washington Post, Chris Cillizia, and Aaron Blake. Okay, over to Washington Post. Okay, number 10 on the list. I'm just going to shoot through some of these. We don't need to cover all of them. But enough of them that I really just want you to get the gist of what's going on here. Because this is all going to fit in later on when we start talking about Ben Rhodes and some of the things that the Obama administration knows much more about than probably anybody else right now on how to manipulate and propagandize. They've become masters at it. So, okay, number 10 on the list of the 10 Republicans who hate Donald Trump the most is the entire 215 Republican Party. Okay, the entire Republican Party hates Donald Trump. Okay, now I can go back to Joe's question. How do you define that? I mean, it's like when I was asking the question about demographics, expanding the demographics. And Joe says, well, the Republican Party's made up of all shades and everything. I mean, they've even got a homosexual group over there, the Lincoln Republicans. Okay, who, by the way, are very active, very proactive campaigners and supporters of some of the candidates that you and I endorse. Okay, so how does the entire Republican Party hate Donald Trump? I'm not really sure what that means. But they're talking about the fact that a year ago, when Donald Trump came into the race, and he was thought to be a clown, he thought he was going to burn out. He'd come out, he'd make a little noise, and then he'd just fade away where all the other wackos go. And Jeb Bush would rise to the top of the cesspool, and he would be the most. He would be the guy that smelled the nicest after everything happened, and he would be the inaugurated one. And we'd have another Bush-Clinton confrontation. That was the thought of the GOP party back in 2015.
Yeah, and then he would politely lose to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, and then he would politely, and the establishment would be happy, and so would Congress, because their positions would be once again preserved. Okay, that kind of thing. So that was the thinking here. It says here back in 2015. 69% of potential New Hampshire GOP primary voters disliked him, okay? But he won New Hampshire this time, didn't he? Did he take New Hampshire?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, I don't remember because Cruz has really done bad up in the Northeast anyway, so I could guess at that. No, Kasich took New Hampshire. Or
Kasich won Ohio.
Okay.
I think he's won.
Okay, I think in New Hampshire, Kasich and Trump split the vote. I think that's how, because I know Kasich had a lot of support there.
It still went to Trumpy poo.
Yeah, it wasn't a winner take all. So anyway, but the point being is that they say that the entire caucus, in the Iowa caucus, 68% of them in 2015 hated Trump and all this other stuff. So there's number 10 here. But then it gets really interesting here. Number 9 is Tim Miller. And Miller is the communications director for Jeb Bush's campaign. Okay, just remember that name, Jeb Bush. I know you don't want to, but for the purpose of this article, remember it. Okay, Tim Miller, who was a communication director for Bush, he thinks that Lindsey Graham should take his tweets that we just read to you about the conservatives, about Trump not being conservative and not being fit for the office of commander-in-chief, and he should put them on his wall as a badge of courage or a badge of honor. Okay? Well, we know there's no love lost between Jeb Bush or any of the Bushes and Donald Trump for that matter. Okay? But I'm reading these names off to you because Tim Miller is what you would look at as a Republican operative. And operatives work for establishment.
Yep.
Okay? That's their function.
Fired, yeah.
They are operatives that work specifically for operatives. They are out there leading the fundraising charges and out there leading the narrative, walking point on the narrative, and everything else. And this was the communication director for Jeb Bush. David Brooks, New York Times conservative columnist, says Donald Trump is epically unprepared to be president. He has no realistic policies, no advisors, no capacity to learn. His vast narcissism makes him a closed fortress. He doesn't know what he doesn't know, and he's uninterested in finding out. He insults the office Abraham Lincoln once occupied by running for it with less preparation than most of us would undertake to buy a sofa.
Yeah, so I think he should stop sugarcoating things.
Yeah. Well, the point being, I think David Brooks just described just about most of the candidates that ran this time around for the establishment. The Jeb Bush, the Marco Rubio, people like that. They're not. They all had their set talking points. Jeb Bush never seemed to fully acknowledge that he wasn't liked. I that was one thing that I never really heard him address. I don't know if anybody ever asked him the question, but I never really heard him. He never at any point in time asked, at least publicly, why aren't people voting for me?
No, that was privately when he asked his mom, Mommy, why don't these people like me?
Yeah, that was Lindsey Graham, though, that did that. I think Lindsey Graham was the one said, I can't figure out why people aren't voting for me.
Remember when Jebby brought his mommy? Jebby brought his mommy out and said, hey, Mommy, would you please campaign with me, please?
Yeah. Okay. So David Brooks from the New York Times, conservative columnist. Let me translate that for you. Establishment operative.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And right up there with George Will. All right? Next is Rick Wilson, who's a GOP media strategist. Translation, establishment operative, calling for the party to... He started at the very beginning. They give him credit for being one of the first no-Trumpers. And he's out there, he's telling these guys, you guys, if you don't do something about this guy now, you're going to have to deal with him later, and you may not be able to handle him.
Might be too late, yeah.
Yeah, well, he in that respect, I'd give this guy 10 points for being a mad prophet. Okay, he figured that out. Okay.
How about the next one was pretty interesting?
You mean Representative Justin Amash?
Yeah, Justin Amash, yeah.
A Ted Cruz supporter. And apparently he just there's no love lost for Donald Trump. He is a non-interventionist in foreign affairs. He's a national populist who will adopt any position that advocates his political ends. That kind of sounds like Barack Obama to me.
Sounds like them all. In other words, they're a well-oiled weather vane.
Yeah, or you could use that even to describe Hillary Clinton. Just throw in there globalist.
Yeah, absolutely. and then your favorite. I know this next one's your favorite because it has that family name in it again.
Yeah, well, here's the reasoning of the Bushes. This is what cracks me up. The Bush family is number 5. And it says here that the reason they don't like Trump is because they're so genteel. They're so well-mannered and polite. And Donald Trump is just, white trash. It's basically, you want the short translation, that's what they're saying. Donald Trump is white trash. He's white trash with money, okay? And, they're so refined and polite and genteel. But here's where this is the one that got me. They don't talk about what George Bush says or George Bush Sr. says or Jeb Bush. They talk about what Barbara Bush says.
Told you.
Tell me who runs that household, okay? Oh, yeah. So Barbara Bush doesn't like him. By the way, the great-great-granddaughter, I think, of Franklin Pierce, who has been rated by most historians as the worst president the United States has ever had. Okay, just little bit of trivia for you there.
Century.
Yeah, okay. Bill Kristol from the Weekly Standard, who is actually involved now with Mitt Romney, who's number 3. Bill Kristol's number 4, Mitt Romney number 3. And trying to float the idea of putting a third-party candidate out there in order to rob everybody of getting enough electoral votes to put this thing in front of the House so that the House can pick who is going to be the president. But let me give you another operative. Bill Kristol, operative for the Weekly Standard. Mitt Romney needs no introduction. We know what he's up to. And number 1 again on the list here is Lindsey Graham, who I gave you the quote with Hispanics at the beginning of the discussion. It's top of the hour here. We're going to go listen to the Edwards Notebook and pay some bills. We'll be back. Hour 2, Don Dix will be with us, and we'll get into our discussion on Ben Rhodes. You're not going to want to miss this. This is going to be intense. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
The more I know, the more I learn, there's so much more to find out. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, for many years, I have defended the Republican Party. One of my best friends told me that there was no real difference between the GOP and the Democrat Party of the Golden Donkey. Of course, I never forgot the first time years ago when I read a quote by American humorist Will Rogers, who said there wasn't a dime's bit of difference between the Democrat and Republican parties. I must say that at one time there was a big difference, but maybe not so much anymore. We all know that for decades, Democrats supported policies that go against governing from the standpoint of, by, and for the people. Now, the Republican establishment and so-called conservative Ted Cruz have banded together to change election rules in some states to take away the vote from we the people. Why? Because wherever primary elections have occurred, Donald Trump has won. His campaign has exposed many of the political rats, like those who support illegal immigration into America, Thus, many globalist Republicans like Bill Kristol would prefer Hillary Clinton, also a globalist, over non-globalist Donald Trump, who says that he simply wants to make America great again. And it seems the two are at least becoming one. What a shame. I'm Ron Edwards.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And welcome back. Hour 2 right here at the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, man, prophet of the airways, along with my co-host and partner in crime, Joe, you can't handle the truth, Hakos. And we strive every single show, every single day, to bring you the best in conservative talk radio, real conservative talk from real conservatives, and we want to engage, inform, and educate you, our listening audience, on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. Having said all that, I want to kind of break into our discussion here, which will actually, over the course of the rest of the week, will intermittently be part of what we do this week, because there's so much depth in regards to how the left, we talk about the narrative all the time in this show, controlling the narrative, and Barack Obama, for all his, I don't want to call the guy an idiot, because I think he's far from that.
Yeah, he's not an idiot.
But there's been no president in my lifetime, with maybe the exception of Ronald Reagan, that has been able to just grab hold of the narrative and just take it wherever he wanted to go. And he's done a heck of a job. So much so that it really doesn't matter who gets elected from the left after him. They'll just have to just basically pick up his notes and run with it. And I'm sure he'll be there, whenever he needs to be between his stints in the UN, when he starts running the UN. Maybe he'll leave some of his people there, and they'll just continue to do what they're doing now, and that is to lie, spin, and cheat, and do it because it's the right thing to do. The end justifies the means, kind of thing. And it's something, it's something that we have to consider here. So anyway, I'm trying to get Don Dix here on the line while we're talking. It looks like he was trying to dial in. Well, we'll just continue here and see if he dials back in, and if so, we'll add him to the group. Yeah. Anyhow, having said that, let's see. Well,
I think maybe we should tell people, maybe they don't know who Ben Rhodes is. We could give him his official title.
I'm sorry?
I'll give him an official title, who Ben Rhodes is.
Yeah, that'll take up 5 minutes.
yeah, exactly. Ben Rhodes is the Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications at the White House.
Yeah, and think about that title. How do you put that on a name badge?
Business card.
Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications. That would be the DNSASC. All right, I guess if we wanted to put it that way. Anyhow, here we are.
I hear
Don
somebody.
must be with us. I hear him in the background.
I hear Don.
How you doing, Don?
Don?
Yeah. We could hear you in the background. What are you practicing your mating calls or what? Hello?
Did we lose Don?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he muted his mic. I told him to start muting his mic when he comes on. Anyway, no, he's still here. We'll see what happens. So let's just continue here. Okay. Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications. That's the title.
That must be important communications, important BS.
Yeah, and my understanding is that this is a title he created himself. That was not the original title for the job. He created the title and considers it to be the most important job in the White House, and apparently so, because according to everything that we're hearing, that he is, what's the word they use here? Mind meld. He's in a mind meld with Barack Obama.
Yeah. I was thinking something a little different, but this is supposed to be a PG show, so.
Yeah, okay. So it's kind of like, he is the equivalent to, Captain Picard. I was thinking, when I read that word, I was thinking of Captain Picard, in the second version of the Star Trek.
Yeah,
he would look to his guy. It wasn't his XO wasn't an XO. He was number 2, and he would look at number 2. He'd go, number 2, make it so. See, they had to even change the language. It couldn't be, you couldn't give an order. What was it in the Navy? Something like when you acknowledged an order, the captain gave you an order, and you go, aye, aye, sir, or something. He goes, no, make it so. And it's not XO anymore. It wasn't executive officer. His executive officer was called number 2. So it's number 2, make it so. That kind of stuff.
I think I want to be number 2 at all.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what Ben Rhodes is to Barack Obama. And what I'm going to do here is take a break here real quick, and we'll play our commercials. So actually, it's time for Moments of Madness, and then we'll have Don Dix on with us here. And I'm going to just give you some talking points on his profile. I'm going to give you kind of a profile of who this guy is, so that when we start talking about what it is he does and what he has done, you'll have a better idea of what's going on. Okay, so stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back with Don Dix from Act for America. Don't go away. Hey, on Moments of Madness. A recent fundraising email from the National Republican Senate Committee, NRSC, composed by House Speaker Paul Ryan and forwarded by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell as if to give it a sense of super double importance, underscores the complete disconnect between the GOP's establishment and those they claim they desire so much to represent. The same can be said of their liberal colleagues on the left. Senator McConnell once again attempts to sway registered voters to support the GOP majority by reciting its far too predictable incantation. Without Republican leadership in both chambers of Congress, conservatives will not be able to pass the policies necessary to get our country back on track and restore the American dream. This entire claim by the NRSC is in and of itself as oxymoronic as it is insulting to any voter who embraces the pure ideological premise of limited government that defines authentic conservatism. Those like McConnell, Ryan, and Lucifer's texting buddy, John Boehner, have long marginalized their base, except when dusting off the mantle of constitutional integrity and voter trust that otherwise lies dormant between layers of false rhetoric, lack of diligence, and outright corruption between election cycles. Truth is, today there's absolutely no representation by any true Republicans any more than there is any evidence of leadership by any conservatives in both chambers of Congress. Here's the madness. While Speaker Ryan and Senate Majority Leader McConnell once again trust the stupidity of the American voter to blindly buy into their recycled template of majority means efficiency, they do so at their own peril. The presumptive nomination of Donald Trump, as well as a hangnail of the DNC, Uncle Bernie, indicates an oncoming tsunami of a dissatisfied, disenfranchised, ticked-off electorate who are not only ready for change, but ready to raise our entire system to the ground through a scorched earth strategy, complete with protests and riots that resurrect memories of the Weather Underground and Black Panther Party. There is indeed a unification of electoral allies forming, but these groups are not user-friendly towards each other or the establishment stalwarts that roam the halls of Congress. Donald Trump has incited a huge segment of the silent majority that makes up middle America that is so incensed at a government so intent on saving itself at the cost of our republic, they willingly line up for hours to listen to Trump's isolationist doctrine spewed under the brand of Make America Great Again. Even voters who once ranted religiously about vetting candidates that reverently follow principles of conservatism now line up behind their great orange hope, the Pied Piper of populism, prepared to walk off the cliff, completely blind they are embracing one of the main players who has helped orchestrate our current state of demise. In the words of Democratic pollster Mark Malman, Bernie Sanders is posting Kim Jong II-like numbers among young people, and those are people with no connection or loyalty to the Clintons whatsoever. Yet the DNC establishment, like its more than moderate counterpart who only physically occupies the right side of the aisle, also believe this demographic will eventually fall into line next to their already marginalized minorities, soccer moms, and Hollywood celebrities. The leftist establishment is just as oblivious to the reality. The dumbed-down collective they created over decades of pandering shows every indication the next generation is ready and willing to embrace Uncle Bernie's idiocracy in exchange for taxpayer-subsidized beer bongs and contraception stocked in transgender bathrooms throughout the safe spaces that now identify America's public education system. Yes, the disconnect between both establishment and the electorate they claim they represent is as obvious as an Obama photoshopped birth certificate to the discerning eye. It reminds me of the conversation between teacher Richard Vernon, played by Paul Gleason, and janitor Carl, John Capellos, in The Breakfast Club.
Hey, Carl, you think I give one rat's ass what these kids think? I said, you think about this. When you get old, these kids, when I get old, they're going to be running the country. Now, this is the thought that wakes me up in the middle of the night. That when I get older, these kids are going to take care of me. I wouldn't count on it.
To echo Carl's observation, neither should we. Yes, there is change in the air. We the people sense it and hear the call to do something, anything, no matter how reckless. On the other hand, the elites who have been ignored by us too long sense it also, but don't have a clue to just how close their world is to total upheaval. Somewhere in between hangs our republic. Maybe we need someone to send them an email reminding them who they are and what they're supposed to do. I wouldn't count on them reading it, though, or doing anything about it. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. Hey, we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, my co-host. And we've got with us right now Don Dix from Act for America doing another weekly contribution with us here at the Conservative Syndicate. He's one of our very respected Conservative Syndicate panel members. How are you doing tonight, Don?
Well, I'm doing fine. Am I coming across okay?
Oh, you're coming across perfect. Is it just
absolutely perfect?
Absolutely perfect.
Don't touch any dial then.
We just started here just before you came on, breaking into this subject of Ben Rhodes, who now has been revealed as the mastermind behind, for all intents and purposes, Barack Obama's narrative on foreign policy. And I guess we could just spend days actually just talking about that in and of itself. But what I wanted to do here for our listeners here is I want to give them kind of a profile of who this guy is, because there's elements in this makeup of this man that pretty much identifies the job qualifications for anybody that has joined the Barack Obama administration. And none of it has to do with being qualified to do the job. Okay, it has everything else to do with pretty much just being a blind loyalist who buys into the leftist narrative, especially the Obama version of the leftist narrative, that America's been broken since it was founded, and he's here to fix it all because he is the great hope. He is the one that can do it.
So you're talking about the media?
I'm sorry?
It was a joke.
Okay, so let's just the title. Let's give that out here again, so that those of you who have a hard time with titles, myself included, I had to actually read this, and it was so long that I actually had to take time to dissect it. What does this all mean? Ben Rhodes created this own title, by the way. Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications. I imagine the National Security Advisor, not the deputy, would probably be Valley Judd, but we're assuming that. But anyway, the Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications. Rhodes writes the president's speeches, plans his trips abroad, which he's heading over to Japan right now to apologize for Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and runs communication strategy across the White House, tasks that taken individually give little sense of importance to his role, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Rhodes strategized and ran the successful Iran deal messaging campaign. So he's the guy that orchestrated the narrative for the Iran deal campaign.
Yeah, how's that working out for us?
He helped negotiate the opening of American relations with Cuba after a hiatus of more than 50 years, and he has been a co-writer of all of Obama's major foreign policy speeches. So I guess we could say he is the architect of the apology tour that Obama has been embarked on since his coming into office. Rhodes is a storyteller. This is part this kind of interests me as somebody who likes to write. Rhodes is a storyteller who uses a writer's tools to advance an agenda that is packaged as politics, but is often quite personal. Let's translate that. He is somebody who can take the narrative, which is a personal narrative, which is the whole Barack Obama administration. This is all about what Barack Obama thinks and how he thinks the world should look. And he is able to put that out there in political terms so that people will embrace it as something other than what it is, and that's his personal agenda. It goes on here to say that he is adept at constructing overarching plot lines with heroes and villains, which has been started out with George Bush and now is anybody that doesn't agree with him. Their conflicts and motivations supported by flurries of carefully chosen objectives, quotations, and leaks. This one caught my eye. Leaks from named and unnamed senior officials. So he must be personal friends with anonymous source.
Yeah.
That seems to be.
Let's translate that with the.
Yeah,
he's adept making crap up.
Yeah, we know that this is what I mean. All administrations probably do this to some degree or another. Is you kind of leak something out there to see to test it. It's like a litmus test. How are people going to respond to it? And then you adjust the narrative, to make all that fit. So that by the time you finally come out and confirm what everybody's already gossiping about, it's all been shiny, it's all been polished, and this, that, and the other. Okay, he's the master shaper and retailer of Obama's foreign policy narratives. Key word there is narratives. That's what we keep preaching on this show. Is how Barack Obama has been able to seize the narrative and be able to use it for his own personal agenda, and it just happens to involve this idea that he's making America a better place, but that's not the real agenda. The real agenda is to, of course, promote Barack Obama. And then here's the one that got me. His lack of conventional real-world experience of the kind that normally precedes responsibility for the fate of nations is still startling. They're just people are astounded. This guy had absolutely no experience coming into this job, other than what we just said: his ability to lie, his ability to spin, and his loyalist attitude towards Barack Obama. And so, having said all that, I want to turn it over to you, Don, and get your opinion, your initial take on these revelations about, especially the Iran deal.
Well, as far as his background goes, this has long been in the public domain who Ben Rhodes is and isn't. And I think the context here is important because when you look across who it is that currently makes up the Barack Obama administration, realize that he's on his third or fourth string in many of these positions. It's the public face of it, like spokespeople, we know that he's on his third spokesperson right now. This guy that is aptly named Josh Earnest.
Yes,
I love
he's very earnest, very good, aptly named. Yes,
I love his name for his position. But when you look across the landscape, most of the people share much of Ben Rhodes's background, or I should say lack thereof. They're recent college grads, meaning they're an older millennial, late 20s, early 30s. They have, as you stated, no real world experience either in the private sector or in the policy areas that they're given responsibility for.
Right.
And, taking away our ideological disagreements, you got to really tip the hat to Ben Rhodes and people like him because they've done an amazing job of foisting their agenda onto not just America, but the entire world. Yeah. So they've done an amazing job, mainly because the Fourth Estate, the media that's supposed to sort of deconstruct all this, has been, in Ben Rhodes' own words, their echo chamber. Mm-hmm. So when you take the administration and the resumes of most of the people that make up the administration, you compound that with the resumes of the people that Ben Rhodes is using as a tool, the media, mostly, and these are his words, these are 27-year-olds, again, with no real-world experience, no journalist background, and certainly no desire to be ideologically neutral. You've got a perfect scenario for being able to cover up, hide, lie to, and foist this ideological agenda and policy on the entire world. This is just the same thing as Jonathan Gruber. Jonathan Gruber said, basically, we lied. I lied, we lied. The media wasn't going to debunk it. The American people are stupid. and stupid in quotes because many of them are sharp. They're just not engaged. They're not paying attention. So, you've got this perfect storm for Barack Obama to be able to unleash all this stuff. And then you've got a few people out there like James Rosen who are trying to, inform us about what's going on. And, it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting to be able to watch it happen and to be here at this moment in history from a purely neutral standpoint. From an ideological standpoint, it's downright scary.
Yeah. And, I like the idea that you mentioned Jonathan Gruber. You've been reading my mail, because that's exactly what I thought of when I first looked over this article. I'm like, this is like just basically stating the same thing that Gruber talked about, and doing it in such a way that if you really take a moment to listen to him, really is very arrogant and insulting. But he actually echoes that in his own way. It's like he took Gruber's statement about the stupidity of the American voter and just built on it, or just more like, paraphrased it here. In fact, what I'm going to do here right now, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm going to play this clip because I've got some clips put together here in regard to this thing, and we'll use these clips throughout the discussion today. But here is Jonathan Gruber, back when it was discovered that Obamacare was another deal that was sold. We were sold a bill of goods. We had to pass a law to find out what was in it. And Gruber is explaining to a group of people how they were able to get Obamacare passed. Listen to this.
You can't do it politically. You just literally cannot do it. Okay? Transparent financing, unless I have transparent financing, also transparent spending. I mean, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. Okay, so it's written to do that. In terms of risk-rated subsidies, if you had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in, it made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay, just like lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass. And, it's the second best argument. Look, I wish Mark was right. We can make it all transparent. But I'd rather have this law than not. So it's kind of like his reporter story. There's things I wish I could change, but I'd rather have this law.
All right, there it is. That's the long version of what Ben Rhodes is talking about when he talks about the media. And that is that the narrative was decided, this is how we're going to present it to the American public. You're going to be able to keep your plan if you want to. Everybody's going to save $2,500 a year. It's going to be such a great thing. I can tell you from personal experience today, just today, we were at the doctor's with my wife talking about her insulin. And one of the things that they noted to us was that there had been a decrease in the function of her kidney, and it came down to the insulin. The doctor said she's not taking insulin in the afternoon because when the sugar peaks or the spikes after she eats, it's supposed to take insulin. But because of the new medication that she's taken, she only takes 2 shots a day now, so she misses that. And so I said, well, can she go back on what she used to have? And he said, no, you can't do it anymore because the Obamacare doesn't allow that medication anymore. So
gosh.
Okay, so now we're stuck with using medication that's not functioning the way it's supposed to be because the cost of it. When we were first getting that stuff, our copay on that was $70 every 3 months. It's now $700 every 3 months for the same dosage. So we can't buy it. And so he says that, and so this is the kind of thing we were told everything was going to be great. We were going to have better coverage for less money. And this is the kind of situation we're dealing with right now. And so Jonathan Gruber just expressed more intently and I think more precisely the narrative that Rhodes is putting out there, that if it's important to Obama, if the agenda overrides everything else, it's okay to lie. It's okay to lie. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. And what you have in the case of Jonathan Gruber, and then also in the case, I think, of Ben Rhodes, they're coming to the end of the Obama administration. I think in a way both these guys were taking a proverbial victory lap. They were basically, you keep all this stuff bottled up. And Trevor Loudon, who's done a lot of work in exposing the communist infiltration into the American elected political class, has said that a lot of these anarchists and people that are trying, their body of work it ends up going into these libraries because at some point in time, they have no other way to get recognition for their work.
Exactly.
So it ends up in these places, and this is Ben Rhodes' version of trying to get credit for his political work.
Okay, I want to reiterate on that because Joe's been asking this question about why did this come out now, and I was kind of floating the same thought process. But let's expound on that when we get back. We got to go to a break right now. We've got Don Dix from Act for America with us. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. I was going to say security clearance. I don't know why. We'll be right back, guys.
State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Do you use the blue pill to charge your sex life? Have you been thinking about trying the blue pill? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than $3. We'll do the math for you. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 40 blue pills or 40 yellow pills for $99 and add 4 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call and get your 44 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for the other blue pills. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in a non-marked package. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. That's 800-814-5188.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, and bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Are back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Higgles, my co-host, and we have Don Dix with us from Act for America. And you floated something here just before the break, Don, because Joe and I have been trying to discern how and why something like this would come to public knowledge. It would be disclosed at this point in the game. And my thing was, that's why I played the Jonathan Gruber clip, because it's very obvious that when Gruber was standing in front of the group of people and he got himself going on this idea that, you know, we purposely made this hard for the CBO to understand, and the lack of transparency is a political advantage, and the stupidity of the American voters, it was almost like he was boasting about the fact, yeah, we pulled one over on everybody, and it was probably for the personal recognition that he was seeking at that point in time, because once the Obama administration didn't need him anymore, he was kind of discarded. He didn't really have a position or a post in the administration. Got to go out and find another job doing something else. And that was kind of my thought with Rhodes. But because one thing I believe about liberals is that they're so arrogant that at some point in time they just have to tell you how good they are. They have to tell you how much smarter they are than you. They have to tell you how they're so ahead of the game and everybody else is so behind the eight ball, kind of thing. We've seen that throughout Obama's administration, coming from him himself. So your idea here, but Joe brought up a thought here, and I want to get your take on this, because we're having these conversations in chat while we're at commercials and our audience is not hearing or seeing them. And Joe was talking about the idea that what could be happening is Obama is trying to basically now reverse the course that he and Ben Rhodes created in a duped-down parrot-type media, and because of Donald Trump, actually could be some kind of threat to Hillary Clinton, is that he's telling the media that, hey, you guys have got to wake up and start vetting things and start vetting people. Didn't seem to bother him in 2008 when nobody was doing it, but now it seems to be an issue. What do you think of that idea?
Well, you know, funny you should say that, because Barack Obama has been talking about how, hey, the presidency is no reality show. You know, the media needs to start vetting. You know, ironic, yeah, the media should start vetting Donald Trump. Where were they when we needed, you know, both Hillary Clinton now, right? We still need we need Hillary Clinton vetted all over again, because there's a whole group of voters that have absolutely no idea what unfolded during Whitewater, during her her law internship, where she represented a rapist and laughed about it, where she the White House Travelgate scenario. You know, this is all very revealing as to who the Clintons are. I mean, and even the stuff that's come out recently hasn't been properly vetted with the foundation, and the fact that they probably are responsible ultimately for a good chunk of the United States uranium deposits falling into Russian mining interests' hands.
Right.
All that stuff needs to be vetted, but yet Donald Trump needs to be vetted.
Well, it plays. See, that's kind of a double-edged sword if we look at it that way. We say, well, if if this is a call to arms for the media by Barack Obama, saying, okay, you guys got to actually start doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you think you've been doing, and what you claim that you do, in order to stop Donald Trump. But that's kind of a double-edged sword, because it could lead into just what you're talking about, going back and vetting Hillary Clinton, her days as she was thrown out of the when she was representative. Well, she was an attorney for the foster farms and was thrown out of the law firm because of unethical conduct. Her boss said, yeah, she was just unethical. Very early signs that she'll do and say whatever she needs to do or say to get whatever she wants, that kind of thing. That's pretty much a reflection of what Barack Obama is also. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, don't you think? It could work both ways, that if the media does go after Trump, maybe somebody on there says, everybody's talking about Trump, let me talk about Hillary, that kind of thing. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know that the media is. I mean, the media's job right now is to get Hillary elected, and they've been way too friendly to her on everything except where she steps in it, and they can't defend her. Like, for instance, we got West Virginia going to the polls today, and a couple of weeks ago, she very publicly said, our mission is to shut down coal. Right. And then, last week she had to go in front and do her, West Virginia apology tour in front of the miners there. So, except for where it's really blatantly in your face, I don't see the media ever properly vetting Hillary Clinton because their options, of course, now are the same as ours, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. You got a take on that, Joe?
Well, absolutely. I don't think it's wishful thinking to think the media will ever vet the Democratic nominee or any of their candidates. We'll see that. We know that the world is upside down if that ever happens. It's just not going to happen. But I think this is more of a signal to, quote unquote, the media to get your act together, because you're going to have to start going after Trump, and this might be like the green flag on this race. It's now time for the media to get going, because
right.
Again, I don't see them ever going after Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
well, Bernie Sanders for that fact.
Yeah, let's shift this a little bit because of the time we have left with Don today. I wanted to get into an area that you're much more familiar with than probably most of us, Don, and that's the area of Benghazi. I wanted to play this clip that was on Megyn Kelly last night. She's talking to Steve Hayes, and what she does is she makes these ties with Ben Rhodes and the rewriting of narratives and everything to what took place in Benghazi. And I want to play this clip for you and then get your take on it.
I'm going to bring in Steve Hayes, who's senior writer for the Weekly Standard and a Fox News contributor. Steve, so Ben Rhodes finds himself on defense, and it was an extraordinary piece in the New York Times Magazine, because part of John Podhoretz of the New York Post wrote what was so devastating about it was that the writer didn't cut out Ben Rhodes' knees. He didn't seem to hate Ben Rhodes. So right. the stuff about his admissions was just devastating, because it didn't look like the writer had an agenda. You saw the Ben Rhodes name back when you were investigating, were at the forefront of the investigation on the Benghazi talking points, which the White House had told us over and over and over and over again they never touched. That they never touched before Susan Rice went out on the 5 Sunday shows and said, no, this is about a video. And it turns out they did touch it. And why don't you tell the audience who was the one who authored those infamous talking points?
Well, yeah, I mean, there were basically 2 sets of White House talking points, and Ben Rhodes authored one of the key sets of White House talking points that blamed the attacks on a video. I mean, it was basically made up from beginning to end. Ben Rhodes played a key part in those talking points. He also played a key part in the original set of talking points that originated from the State Department and the CIA, from the intelligence community, and were massaged by the State Department, by other parts of the administration.
So we have now here an admission, or reminder. We're remembering now that Ben Rhodes was instrumental in writing the talking points that Benghazi was the result of a spontaneous revolt over a video, and it turns out that they had denied that he had anything to do with it, but he was the one that actually wrote the talking points.
Well, yeah, and Ben Rhodes has a rich and deep history with the messaging of the Obama administration. You recall he wrote the famous Egypt speech that Barack Obama delivered with 3 rows of the Muslim Brotherhood sitting in front of him. Ben, that's why I said at the beginning of the conversation, like it or not, from an ideologically neutral point, Ben Rhodes has been incredibly successful in being a part of the Obama administration and crafting the narrative, the policy, how it interacts with the media. Don't forget, Ben Rhodes' brother is president of CBS.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, those things go a long way. I mean, to being able to, have the confidence that the media is going to pick your narrative up and run with it and not question it. Now, it's taken us 2 years. Finally, the Benghazi Commission is now released a statement that says that by the summer, they will be in a position to release their findings. Even, hardball, Clinton ally Sid Blumenthal was being questioned vigorously by Chris Matthews on Hardball the other day. And even Sid Blumenthal would not say whether or not he's been interviewed by the FBI. Former Department of Justice FOIA director is even saying now all of Clinton's aides, this guy that did her secret server, Brian Pagliano, is saying they can't find any of the emails regarding, Brian Pagliano. Mm-hmm. And in a quirk of irony, Russia now says, well, you want emails from Clinton servers? We've got them.
Yeah, they got that guy sitting there from Hungary. Probably can get him for him if they just give him a computer or a laptop. You can find it for him. We got to go to a quick break here. I want to continue this here because I think this is key with the Benghazi Committee saying they're going to come out. And what I wanted to ask you, I'll give you time to think about it, Don, here during the break, is whether or not this revelation right here that has basically brought this entire talking point thing back on Benghazi, back to the surface, back to the forefront, whether or not we can speculate whether the Benghazi Committee has even been looking at something like this, or if maybe they will go back and look at it again. Stay with us, guys, right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. Right. Hey, we're back. And, we're coming up towards the end of the segment here with Don, but we've got just a few moments here, and I want to throw this out here real quick. I got another clip I want to play, and this is in line with Benghazi. This is initially pretty much right after all the Benghazi stuff started getting dissected, and people started questioning whether or not this entire Benghazi incident was over this video about Muhammad. And this is Lou Dobbs. I want to play this real quick, and then I want to get Don's take on the question whether or not we can speculate as to whether the Benghazi Committee has given any weight to Rhodes' involvement in the entire operation here. So listen to this clip from Lou Dobbs.
Good evening, everybody. New developments tonight in the Benghazi scandal. At the center of these developments, an incriminating email written by White House staffer Ben Rhodes. The White House today hastily constructed what was an awkward, some might say clumsy, defense of their words and actions in the days following the Benghazi attack. The White House now claims there were two sets of talking points given to Susan Rice before she went on 5 Sunday talk shows and famously and repeatedly lied to the nation about what happened in Benghazi. The new White House explanation comes one day after a Freedom of Information request by Judicial Watch produced the incriminating email from Rhodes to 12 members of the president's senior staff. The email, dated September 14th, with the subject line reading, "Prep Call with Susan," states the goal for her national TV appearances was, quote, "to underscore that these protests are rooted in an internet video and not a broader failure of policy." Press Secretary Jay Carney today struggled to attempt to persuade the White House press corps that this email, dated 3 days after the terrorist attack, was not even about Benghazi.
It was explicitly not about Benghazi. It was about the overall situation in the region, the Muslim world, where you saw protests outside of embassy facilities across the region. The so-called talking points around Benghazi, as you know, because it's been substantially reported on, were prepared by the CIA. And in this case, the overall issue of unrest in the Muslim world.
Now, Jay Carney went on to continue to reiterate that the talking points that were being issued out by Ben Rhodes that followed Susan Rice around the talk circuit that particular weekend had nothing to do with Benghazi. and the question, the response that Lou Dobbs offers is, then why is the White House now addressing this when it was actually the request for the Freedom of Information Act, the Judicial Watch had actually requested about the talking points in regard to what they dealt with Benghazi. And so Carney is basically just denying not only that the talking points were not about Benghazi, but that it has nothing to do with the Freedom of Information Act release anyway. So he was like, it's a double whammy there. So my point being, Don, do you think the Benghazi Committee has given any weight to this involvement with Ben Rhodes at all? Do you think this will come out somewhere?
I'm not sure. They've been very, they've been very tight-lipped about their findings. Their whole reason for being is to look at the events leading up to, during, and after Benghazi. So is the whole issue of talking points going to be incorporated into their findings? Well, I hope so, because certainly the obfuscation that the White House put up, whether they want to lean on this flimsy explanation that it was, we were addressing the entire unrest in the Middle East versus the Benghazi issue specifically. I mean, funny that she decided to go on the talk show the Sunday after Benghazi. I mean, the timing is, sort of suspicious. Mm-hmm. But this video, one of the things that I recall about this video was, and I've looked for this and I just haven't looked diligently enough, the number of hits that this video got prior to the State Department and the administration calling attention to the video was in the hundreds, not the thousands and thousands that you would expect a video that would sweep through the Islamic. It was after they called attention to it that it began to go viral, not before. Right. So if you would think that a video that was going to be responsible for all of these riots across the Muslim world would have gotten the kind of attention where it would have gone into the whatever's considered to be viral, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. No, this was in the hundreds before. Yeah. In fact, I think one of the things they should have subpoenaed, and I hope they did, was YouTube's records showing the number of hits and when it began to spike. That, to me, would be telling.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very good point. I hadn't even thought about that. But you would, that would make perfect sense. You get all the professional tweeters out there after the video, after it's revealed, and then, okay, everybody get on Twitter, or everybody get on YouTube, and let's start stacking up the points. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Let's not forget one important detail. You remember why the protests in Cairo were originally set up?
Refresh my memory, because it's been a while.
Yeah, this is because, remember at the time that the Muslim Brotherhood had just gotten swept into power, Mohammed Morsi's promise that he was going to get the blind sheikh released. This protest, and CNN covered this, and it really doesn't get talked about that much. This protest originally was orchestrated by the cousin of the blind sheikh in front of the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, calling for the release of the blind sheikh. And then as events started to spiral out of control and the video began to surface, it was at that point that the protest took on a whole different purpose. But the original purpose of the protest was to make good on and call attention to the call by the Mohammed Morsi administration to call for the release of the blind sheikh.
Okay, yeah, and I had even heard the argument that a lot of it was about the gun running, which is another aspect of Benghazi nobody talks about, that the protest was more or less a distraction that would allow these people to get into the compound to steal the guns that were being stored there, that were supposed to be run to Syrian rebels. So I certainly hope these guys did their work. I hope this doesn't just turn out to be a 3.5-4 year cluster screw where we end up with nothing that can condemn or point blame at anybody as far as what's going on here. We're out of time, Don. I want to give you a moment to plug your show and your organization, Act for America.
Oh, sure. Well, thanks, John, first of all, and Joe for having me on. It's always fun to kick this stuff around with you, and it makes, I think, for good listening to rehash a lot of this stuff and re-educate people about some of the stuff that has happened now that many of these things are coming to back into the limelight. What got me involved in politics originally was the national security threat of political and radical Islam. That's actforamerica.org. And one of the things I would just encourage people to do is to go to actforamerica.org. You can sign up there to get Act for America's emails, but there's a place on there, what can you do? You can go to a section that says engage and use that as your activism platform where it comes to national security related issues. We talk about and highlight there our high priority legislation. There's a place there where you can actually write to your senators and congressmen about the bill that's pending in the Senate and Congress right now to name the Muslim Brotherhood as a international terrorist organization, and fire off a letter to your elected officials and let them know that it's really important we join the United Arab Emirates, for Pete's sake, in naming the Muslim Brotherhood as well as their American surrogate CARE as a terrorist organization. All
right. We appreciate your time, Don, because I know you're busy with your show and everything else. It's always great that you take the time out and come on with us, because we value your views here, your knowledge, and your ability to discern what's going on here. So thanks so much. Guys, it's time for us to sign off for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Audrey Russo from Real Talk Radio will be our contributor tomorrow, and we'll pick this up where we left off, because this is going to be our topic, like I said, most of the week. I want to dissect this thing. We want to leave no stone unturned. So God bless you all. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and just keep the faith. It's not over. It's far from over. God bless you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all of our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best and uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, signing off until next time, right here on the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.